uh, glad you're here. And I'm just trying to see if I can adjust this. Um, the We're gonna go. We'll be doing a live, I guess um, simulcast, if you will, at least during the live period. If this is recorded, then obviously it's not going to be there. But you can go to DestinationFreedom.org, and there's a link. If you follow down on there, you'll see a link for the live chat, so you can come on and have more interaction. You'll be able to ask questions, and I'll be able to hear you and stuff like that. Unlike on YouTube here, all I'm going to be able to see is your comments in the chat. So yeah, join us on that interactive live interactive call, which is there's a link at the DestinationFreedom.org website. So that'd be good. And we're going to get started on our topic tonight, which is the your work from public to private. So we'll be getting that in just a minute here. So just stand by, and we're going to be starting in just about 4 minutes. So anyway, so let's do that. Let's just get on here, and I'll get that going here. And we got a few minutes here that we'll kind of stall and get into the subject matter. And we're I think it's definitely needy. So I hope. Yeah. Excuse me. See, I didn't block this mic. So I'm all mic'd up. Yeah, I'm a little under the weather. It's bad. The reason it's bad is not so much that I feel really bad. You know, that's the kind of bad that you don't feel bad enough to take you out, but just feel bad enough to not be at your best. That's kind of the way I feel. So it's not so bad. But I'm pumping vitamin C and some zinc and some other healthy things like that. Yeah, a lot of vitamin C, that helps. So anyway, because I was traveling probably in an aircraft and all that stuff, that's always there. Yeah, so that's always fun. I always enjoy myself when I go through TSA. I always allow plenty of time. I didn't wear my TSA t-shirt. Wasn't in that same vibe, but I'll wear my t-shirt when I go to Mexico and I go through the TSA internationally and all that stuff. So that'll be fun. Because I don't ever do that what do you call it, that x-ray stuff. I always pass through, and I like standing there like I'm going to go through, and they're waving you, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go over here to the metal detector. They're like, no, you're going to go in here. I'm like, no, I'm going to go in there. And they go, you're opting out. I'm like, yep. And he's like, okay. Then they get somebody, and on the way down to Texas, we'll get started in just a second here. Yeah, on the way down to Texas, they always say, I need male. They're going to do a pat down. I call it the TSA massage because these flights are expensive. So it's one of the ways that I get I get the massage and the TSA search and all that stuff. So it works out pretty good. So, but usually I wear my shirt that says I don't get much affection at home. That's why I'm here, and that's always fun to have that shirt on when they're patting me down and going groping me and all. It's a fun experience. So. So anyway, so I always travel with pistachio nuts, and if I pack it in my bag, then the bag won't clear. They have to have somebody go through it and all. They check it out. If I usually put those on the outside so they can be seen, and I usually ask the guy. I asked him if he wants to see my nuts. I said because usually when I come through here, they want to see my nuts, and I was just wondering I can show them to you if you like. I just let that just sit there so he can figure out what the hell I'm saying. But it's actually a lot of fun, and I'm just trying to make him feel uncomfortable. But I did ask him. They said they were going to give me a guy to pat me down. I asked him. I said, is there a way if I identify as a female, can I get a woman to pat me down? And they said no. And I'm like, rats. Okay, I guess I'll go the usual way. So I couldn't identify as a female for the purposes of the pat down. Would have been okay. Then they could go up on both sides of my leg until they feel resistance. That'll that'll be fun. But one of the things I noticed, and I was gonna check in with them to see, but so what happens is I go through the metal detector as opposed to the scanner, and so what they do is they'll my bag will come down, and then sometimes they'll push my bag out of the way, and they'll do a special search on my stuff because I'm opting out. Well, this time going down to Texas, they went through my stuff in front of me, and they did the pat down, and they went through my bag with my laptop in there and all that stuff. It's like a backpack, and then on the sides of the backpack, there's this mesh that you can put a water bottle in or stuff like that. So when I got down to Texas, and I got some beer from my room and all, I needed a bottle opener, and I was like, I don't have a bottle. And I was thinking to myself, I think I had a pocket knife in that bag that I didn't think about. And I went to the side back at the bottom of that mesh in the outside of the bag was my Swiss Army knife. So I did successfully get my Swiss Army knife on board an aircraft. Pretty crazy. So if you're feeling unsettled that the TSA isn't doing a good job, that's the job they did. And I was thinking about letting them know that it was a fail, so that they could at least find the people that were doing the search, because I'm sure they got the cameras and all that. And then that way they can see it. Well, I was just glad I didn't lose the Swiss Army knife. That's And then someone was saying that could be a pretty good business if you could do mailing packets that would go to a business, and then they would pay for the mailing and the shipping in the moment, or somehow it would you get like a ticket stub, like a coat check, and then you'd get that, and then they would put that in an envelope. Maybe the TSA would get a couple bucks, but it would go off to a company that would actually mail it to your house, something in that capacity. That would be kind of cool. Bet you that happens a lot. Things that you want to get that you would be concerned. So I'll have to develop that business. All right, we're at the top of the hour, and thank you so much for being on tonight's call. And this particular talk, and I'm just going to talk freely about it. I think it's necessary to actually create a class, because the reason I say that is that that's weird. I had a phone call coming in the middle of my live. But the reason that I feel it'd be a useful class is because it was like all this week I had talked to a half a dozen different people about that transition between being employed and taking a tax stand, if you will, and doing your own work. So the idea is there's people, I've said this in my classes, and I've said it over the years, that no one is going to take a tax stand while being employed by a corporation. And so, and anybody who thinks they are has no experience or knowledge of what it is they're really doing. And I talked to someone today about the same subject matter. It's not going to happen where you're going to do an edited W-4 form. Most of the time when people are employed and they're going to do the passport process and all that, they think that they're going to be able to edit the W-4 form and then still be an employee and then take a tax stand. Won't happen. I've never known that to be successful ever. When you fill out a W-4 form is for federal citizens, resident aliens. Okay, and then it allows the company to withhold on your behalf. Why would you have them withholding? Because you believe that you have an income tax liability. So that's the situation. And then many people will fill out and they'll do a revocation of election, which is a terrible remedy, because IRS. My experiences with half a dozen or more clients that have come to the process, when they do those processes, the IRS will do a frivolous return, and then they'll charge you $5,000. So if you want to give the IRS $5,000, then you can try that revocation election. It's not a very good remedy. Some people have done it, and the IRS doesn't do anything. but I've got a number of people that they have had trouble with the IRS. So I don't recommend it because there was never an election that you have to revoke. Okay. Most of the time, people are doing these things out of habit or tradition or just ignorance. They don't know, how they began doing what they're doing. But so they'll do that because, and what's weird is that the companies many times will stop withholding taxes, but they'll still be paying Social Security. So it's not a jurisdictional remedy, and that's why I don't recommend it. So when people are doing the passport process and they're going to come out of the federal zone and all that, and they're employed, I tell them, I say, well, listen, you have to take a look at what kind of relationship you have with your company. Are you intrinsic? Do you know your value? Most employees have no idea where their cog is in the machinery, and most employees, generally speaking, cannot put together the value they are to the company, and nor can they usually put together how much the company actually pays out in their relationship. And any position in a company that is worthy of keeping on has to be producing enough work to not only cover their cost of working for them, but also bring a profit to the company. If that economically isn't happening, then that business is doomed to fail, because businesses aren't in the charity business. And so they can't be taking a loss for you. That doesn't work that way. But if you are intrinsic and you are important to the company and you understand that, then what I say is that you might have a conversation with the manager, the owner, or the human resource director or whatever about what we tell them, and we'll deal with this in the class, is how to go about dealing with the human resources. And so we'll talk about that in the class about what to say, how to deal with it, how to enroll them in that. We're going to talk about how you should have your W-8 and W-9, which we have a workshop for that. And the W-8 and W-9, W-9 is a request for tax ID. Now, if you've been an employee, they have your social. That's going to have to change. And the class I'm referring to is the your work. What was it? I think I'm going to call it that. It's your work from public to private. That's the class I'm referring to. It's a new one. We haven't done it. What we'll do is we'll figure out about how much time we're going to need. Not really sure. Might be a couple hours. But I'm going to see what elements I'm going to bring into it. And then we'll probably do that on a Saturday, and then there'll be people that'll come in and do it for the first time. We'll record it and make it available, very much like the way we have our debt discharge class and workshop. It's another workshop that we did, I recorded, and it has to be up on the website. And it's work on my plate. I have web development stuff that I have to do. That's a position that we're looking to fill, is someone who's going to be able to do our social media and our website stuff. So that's something that's coming. I won't have to do it. It's I'm feeling a little stretched with that. But anyway, so we want to be able to help the individual move from working for the company as an employee to setting up his business, doing the same thing, teaching him how to do invoices and all that stuff, and teaching him how to do it simply, how he's going to do his banking, what that looks like. And some of that, we already handle many times for clients, but this will be specific the assistance for helping them to do the process. And that's if you want to work for the company. Yeah, my mic is on. You can't hear me online? The mic is on. Oh, yeah, it is on. It looks like the website's showing it. So you might check and see. Anyway, yes. I'll type yes on here. Yes. Yes, my mic is on. Okay, good. I was, who knows these technological things here? Um, it looks like I got a comment on, put the big bold letters. This is a notice not to be construed as a as a fling. Is that what that is? I'm not sure. Um, but the idea is that you have to be able to talk to them and let them know that you're going to change. The way I would end up saying it, and I may talk to the manager or the comptroller or it's whoever's taking care of the human resources and say, I did this process with the U.S. State Department and I eliminated my income tax liability. So now I have to do different tax documents. So I won't be able to be an employee. If we work for the company, I have to contract with the company and be responsible for my own taxes, if any. So that's part of it. So you're going to have to be able to persuade the company that that's going to be something you're going to do. And it's going to be change. And we'll get into the class about how that looks when you're changing it, because you can't do the same thing you've always done. Like I was discussing it with somebody tonight, and he has people. Oh, nice. Okay. I don't know what you're saying. State that once more. When you're dealing with the comptroller, you have to be able to communicate it that you had done a process with the U.S. State Department and you had eliminated your income tax liability. Listen, when I talk about this stuff about state citizenship and stuff like that, I never say ever that I don't pay taxes, because anybody who understands how taxes work, we're paying a lot of taxes. Everything corporate that you buy, like this here, you pay every corporation that makes the steel, the aluminum, the ink on here, whatever that is, anything plastic, the printing on here, the steel molds, everything associated with the creation of this product, the companies that mine the water or whatever, all of it. Every one of those corporations pay taxes, and it's figured in the cost of what they do. And so you may pay a lot of taxes in this one little thing. If you actually looked at a product and saw how much taxes are in it, let's say there's some type of state taxes or local tax, and of course there's property taxes of the company that's there. Every one of these companies have property taxes, and they pass them on in the cost of doing business. And you, the end user, pay all those taxes. Understand? So it's, you don't escape that because you're buying from corporations all the time. But when we're referring to this process, we're talking about one tax, and that's the federal income tax. So we don't say we don't pay taxes. We just say we've eliminated our income tax liability. And so therefore, when you're dealing with the company and when you move from being employed to contracting, you're going to assume all of the responsibility if you have to file or pay. And in our situation, you don't have those obligations. We're not looking to have them think that you're crazy, and that you're not looking at have you like you're crazy, because anytime you start talking like you're not going to pay taxes, people think that you're crazy. And sometimes I've done for clients is that when they're doing these processes, I will talk with the comptroller or the accountant or the tax attorney on behalf of the client, and so that I communicate it in a way that they can understand it, that we're not doing things weird or that's incongruent with IRS or the State Department, whatever it is. We're going by the law, and that's how that is. It said, oh, so someone on it said it was in response to the IRS frivolous filing. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, that makes sense. The filing. Um, yeah, so that's a good word. I hear what you're saying. This is a notice as opposed to a filing. Oh, that's a good thing. Well, we'll see if that plays out there. I get what you're saying now. That's how you word it, Usually when I think of a filing, I'm usually filling out their tax forms. That's the way I think of when we talk about filing. But I think they're determining filing by you writing to them, like as if that's a return. But anyway, that's it's just not a remedy that I recommend. And we don't recommend giving notice to IRS at all anyway, because they don't know what to do with your notices. What do they do in the office? They get your letter and go, hey, everybody notice this? Have a nice day. It's not very, it's not, they're not trained to understand how to deal with your notice, so it's not likely that that's going to occur. There is paperwork. We will have an IRS, spending the day with the IRS class from soup to nuts, and that's coming. So I'm still working on that. But this is the moving from the public to private. And the reason I mention it that way is because as a federal citizen, that's in the public venue. And of course, corporations are public. All corporations are public. There is no such thing as a private corporation. All governmental is, has full disclosure, if you will. They're supposed to be transparent. So corporations are an extension of government, and therefore that's why they have to have full disclosure and showing that. So anyway, so that's what I think about when you're doing your work, is you want to keep it in the private. So how to leave the company and begin a different relationship. So that's one possibility, and with respect to working for the company. The other one is that you will end up quitting that job and starting your business. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing in this class, is actually helping kids from 16 to 18 launch their own business. And I really do think that this particular class is going to be a big aid to homeschooling people. Because here's what I say to our clients. Do not assist and help your children to go get jobs. And as Jim Rohn said, he would say, I could hear in his little country kind of farmer kind of voice, where he says, profits are better than wages, right? So, and that's what you want to do, is help your children launch their own business, whatever it is. And so that they're not participating in the corporate world, that they're doing things privately. And you don't have to form a corporation. There's no obligation to do such. Forming corporations is a privilege. It's not a right. You have no right to incorporation. It's a privilege. The government is going to tax and regulate you. They're going to determine whether you can be open for COVID or not, or whatever else they want to do. They can do that because you have created an entity that is incorporated into the state. That's the way it is, and that's why many of these people have tax ID numbers and all that stuff. So I'm not talking about forming an LLC. You'll form no corporation. You'll stay in the private. There is none of that. And then there's people who think that they want to do a PMA, or what they call a private membership association. I don't recommend that, because you're not really there in your business affairs, that you're looking to manage the association of other people. I mean, if you want to form a club, I'm okay with that, or a membership, I'm okay with that. But it's going to be your thing and your clients or whatever it is, and it's going to be private. And of course, you're going to control it, and they're going to have access to you. And it'll be very similar to the way we have clients. We have our clients, we have a hold harmless agreement, and we have a relationship, but we haven't formed anything. We don't need to. I can do my own thing. And then people will sometimes erroneously, they'll give money for services we're providing. And so they will say, they'll refer to what they're giving me as a donation. Now, if someone's going to give me money as a donation, that means that I don't have to perform any work associated, because after all, it is a donation. So I don't think that's what they're expecting. They're expecting service. So it's disingenuous for me to receive a donation for services I'm going to need to render. So I don't receive donations. We will receive donations, though, for the prayer website that we're going to launch. I don't want to forget that. I'm going to mention that. So before we close out, I'll talk about the Freedom Prayer website that we're going to put together. But anyway, we're putting it together. So I'm hopefully that timeline is going to be sooner than later, like within the next month. But anyway, but we're going to help clients move, or the people who take the class, move from being employed to doing their own thing. Now, one of the things that we recommend and the way that I refer to this many times in these calls and whatnot, and that is I make reference to a goose, that your business as a goose. Okay. And so, and you know what goose I'm referring to, right? A goose that lays the golden egg. You see, when you're working for a corporation, you're the goose that lays the golden egg, and the owners of the corporation, they get to hang out down in Florida, and they travel, they have a good time because they have a goose, their company, and it's made up of a bunch of little geese, and they lay eggs all the time, and so they get this money because they just take care of the company. So when you work for yourself, you own your goose because you own yourself, but you are still the goose if your work is tied to your time. Okay. What we should be telling our children is how to get an asset, something that isn't you, that thing can make you money. Now, wealthy people, they do stocks and bonds and they do all these things. So they take their money and they get their money to make themselves money. That's what wealthy people do. And nobody in government schools teaches children how to do their own work, amazingly enough. Same thing with, see, governments or banks will give children hundreds of thousands of dollars for their education that they owe them to get a government job, or I should say a corporate job. But they won't give them $30,000-$40,000 to launch their business. What's up with that? So this is the culture that we live in. And so it's my intent with this class is to move people from even thinking about these corporate kind of jobs and then doing a business of your own. So one of the things that I was saying to this client was, I said, so you're going to have these people that are working for you. You need to go to breakfast or lunch or whatever. You can say, I'm not doing this income tax liability stuff, so you're not going to be an employee. I'm not going to do withholding for you. You're on your own. I'd be glad to contract with you and set that up if you'd like. All right. And so he asked me, he says, can we, I suggested that the former employee invoice them every week so you can cut them a check. So you get an invoice like you would with a contractor. He says, well, can I use the time clock, the time card? I'm like, no, these aren't employees. Have you ever been a contractor and you punched in with a time clock? That's what employees do. You're not managing their time that way. You're now managing their productivity. And of course, there may be a window in which you have them there and all, but you're redesigning that relationship, and we'll get into that and how that may look. Some companies, I remember a story of one of our clients was working down in Texas on an oil rig, many oil rigs, because the company worked for, they would maintain and repair these oil rigs. So his company, they cleaned them and all, whatever that is. And so he did the passport process, and he was going to have to change it. So we went into the company and said, hey, can we contract? I can't do the employee thing anymore. And they said no. And I asked him, I said, listen, do you have a non-compete, non-disclosure, or do you have a, they have, let me just make sure I'm plugged in here. Yeah, I think I'm good still. But the, do you have any kind of a non-compete? And he said, no. I said, well, great. Okay. So now what you do is you're going to get your own tools and things like that, set your own truck up. And I don't think they were using their own trucks, but you get your trucks, you're already skilled at what you do. You get the tools that you need to do. And then you go into these customers and you say, listen, I'm going to give you a discount because you know what they charge. They know what they're paying. Now you're cutting out the big business, and you're going to make most all of it. Even if you're making the same amount of money, even giving yourself a raise, the company's going to be glad to pay you less than they've been paying this big company, and you're performing the same work. So what he did was he did a new relationship with all of his customers, and so now they were his customers. And one of the things he was considering was hiring the those are his customers, and he was going to hire the company to do the work. So he's going to figure it out. Now he's got the contract, and he negotiates with them, and so now he has that company working for him. It was a power change, so that's exciting. But he was up for it, and that's how it played out. We have helped clients. Sometimes they'll draft up their contract and such, and so I'll end up reviewing it. We can negotiate that or contract that kind of contract review to make sure they're out of the federal zone or that they mention certain things. And that's poor Greg. He's dropping out right and left. So, he must have a bad connection. So anyway, hopefully it's not the platform. But yeah, so they so that's one of those relationships that you have to redefine and renegotiate. So now, one of the things that I would say to some of these new people is that how's your ability to dream, or what would you always like to do? Sometimes people, they have a belief about doing your own business. They think that, oh, I can't do my business, I don't have enough capital, all that. It takes very little money to launch your own business. Matter of fact, one of the first expenses that I recommend is getting yourself a business card, because now you're in business with your name, your contact information. That's the first thing. And look, you can get free business cards from Vistaprint. I should be an affiliate with them. There's a link down below. I don't have one yet, but I'll get one. Now look, that's a great example of what I'm talking about. I will, mark my words here, if you click down below this on YouTube, if you click down below and there's an affiliate to YouTube, or I'm sorry, to Vistaprint, you'll know I'm getting money for that. So, but look, that's how you go into business, doing affiliates. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah, there's, I don't, the question on YouTube was, have I looked into the SS5 correction process to fix the file that Social Security Administration from being a U.S. citizen to American state national? Yeah, I don't recognize anything American with respect to that, but state national is fine. But again, listen, you don't have to do that. And listen, I did that years ago. It's just a letter, but there is no provision for them to change your status, like as if they are recognizing your status. So don't give away your power thinking that that's what you have to do. But you can certainly send them and say, so long, so long, so long. Thanks for all the fish. There's two ways that you can participate in Social Security: paying in, receiving benefit. So the fact that you have a Social Security number, it's their Social Security number, and you can do that with the State Department. You can do that also. You can give IRS notice if you want. It's not necessary to give IRS notice. IRS gets notice when you don't fill out the return. They'll look and say, hey, you may have forgot to fill out the return. When you write to them and say, I incurred no tax liability for this particular year, that's the end of the relationship. There's no formal thing that you need to do. Just stop paying in and stop filling out forms like a federal citizen. So there's that with respect to, if you're going to work for the same company. So if you're going to do your own work, I mean, my word, there's 1,000 different things that you can do. And my recommendation when we're talking about that goose that lays the golden egg is that you're going to want something that brings you in money. Now, one of the things that I noticed in doing this work and how busy it got, I used to travel around the country and did live classes in which we'd have 20, 30 people in a class, and then we would do their paperwork or what have you. But I would do that state citizenship class. So we'd spend all day in class helping people understand how they can come out of the federal zone. Now, that's a lot of fun, and I still will do that for people if they have 10 people or more. But the thing about it is that people would have to arrange their time, be in there and do that. Then I started doing a class online every month. So, oh, that's very nice. So what we would do is I would just pick a Saturday and I would do a class. Now, our friends and freedom people in which the Saturday was the Sabbath, they wouldn't do that. They needed a class on Sunday. But a lot of Christians don't want to do a class on Sunday because they go to church or whatever. So I was trying to work between these two religious beliefs in when I would do my class. And then if I did it during the week, people work, so I don't really like to do a weekly. So I was trying to work out how to do my class in order to make it available to everybody. And that's when we determined to record the class and then um, to upload it and have it online. That way people can take it whenever they want. That was a game changer. And so now people will take the class and money comes in and it doesn't have anything to do with me. I mean, it does in some way, but it's really not, I don't have to take any time for it. That's now a goose for me. Okay. And you can do the same thing with whatever it is that you're interested in giving. Now, doing classes or information, that's big business on the internet. But it doesn't mean that that's what you have to do if you don't have something you're good at. Because then they have like master classes and all that. That's great. Listen, my wife and I paid for Gordon Ramsay's master class for $100, $99. And we got the class, we can watch it. You got things to download, all that stuff. So it was wonderful. Now imagine that they got, the website got a piece of it. Gordon Ramsay does this. And, hundreds of thousands of people. It's just money flowing in. So that's one thing if you're in the information business, whatever kind of information it is. But again, it's not necessary to, that you have to do a class. Some people will consider, the old adage was I have to buy product and I sell product, so I have to have an inventory and then I can give it away or whatever, is old school. No one's doing that. I mean, some people do that, but now people can buy something from you and then you can turn around and buy it over here and have them drop ship it. You never touch the merchandise ever, whatever it is. And they've paid you. You're paying for the company. You've got it marked up. You're making a little bit on every transaction. That's awesome. And you can automate that however you want. Now, if you're older like me, like I'm a little older than a teenager. This is blonde. Anyway, you should help young people stay out of the federal zone. You should help young people in whatever you've done get into business without having to go to college, or maybe they can get a certification or something like that. But don't help them just to get these governmental things. And certainly, like we tell our parents that if you love your children, take them out of government school. It's bad for them. It's bad in every area for them. And if you love them, you will do something else. If you know that a private school is accountable, then go that way. Or if you can homeschool or unschool, those are even better. So the truth of the matter is, when your kids are young, they want to be with you. Why spend them hours and hours of every day having them indoctrinated by your enemy? That's bad parenting. So that all plays up. So this is in line with how we're looking at parenting and dealing with your kids. So one of the things that we want to do as far as the practical of this class is to find out and do some supportive, some interactive work where we can help people figure out how to come up with the work they want to do. And look, just because you launch your first business and it may or may not be a success is okay. You may have to try out a couple things to get things going. And then we'll talk in there about the timing between when you're employed to when you're unemployed and how to do that transition. And we'll talk about that because we've had clients do that. And what we're committed to doing is helping you transition from that public to the private. And so that's kind of fun. But again, to be able to have something that makes you money independent of your time is what they call independently wealthy, or they call it passive income, or whatever you want to call it. It's okay. But when you just work this much and most of your time is what you're enjoying in your life, now you're carving out a life for yourself. So if you're older and you have a vision for your grandkids, help your grandkids not get into the grind. My wife and I call that the grind. And people go every day. They drive to work. They drive back. It's maddening. And to be on the road, how many hours every day on your way to work? I'm on my way to work. See, when you have to stop, you're serving your clients. It's not having a job. You have an account that you service. And let me tell you something. The service industry is huge. So if I said to you, you've never done a cleaning business before, imagine saying, oh, that's interesting. One of the things we talk about is working for the wealthy. And we have marketing ideas that you can utilize. And all that stuff I'm going to just share in this class. And these are tried and true things. I've done my own businesses. I had a high-rise window cleaning company. I've had a video production company. All those things I started not knowing anything, and I moved into them. And so I learned a lot about service industry and who that is. I only worked for rich people. And let me tell you something, no matter what the economy is doing, there will always be rich people. And those people don't wash their car. They don't clean their house. They have other people do those things for them. So that's job security when you're serving the wealthy in some capacity. And when I talk about this to clients and all that, I get thousands of ideas that come into my head about some need that's met. And it's not just that you're finding something that, now look, there's all kinds of ways that you get joy. Maybe you get joy from the kind of work that you're going to come up with and do. But then again, maybe that's some work that's funky, but it's a lot of money, and that gets you joy. I remember when I was rappelling off buildings, and I would make $1,000 a day rappelling off of buildings, because if you're cleaning windows, rappelling off a 10-story building, you should charge enough, because if you're risking your life for cleaning glass, you should make good money, and I did. And so when a person will say to you, hey, how you doing? Does this make you any money? I said, aren't you afraid of falling? I'm like, sure, of course it is. I said, I'm afraid of falling, but the check comforts me. So that's what I say. So that's why you should get plenty of money so that you can do things that you might not want to do for, by the hour or whatever it is. So anyway, so all that we're going to talk about in this class and set it up. But I think the fun thing will be that whoever takes the class, that will actually set up some coaching time. We'll look at when they want to realize they're doing their own work and that timeline, and we'll work out with them something every week where they can, we'll help them problem solve and move from where they are into their business so it can get going. Some people need something quick to get moving right away. Some people need to feather their business in while they're letting the other business go. All that timing is yours in how that works out. So that's part of making that change. And again, our forte is that personal thing of helping you in that transition so you're not stressed out. And of course, all of it is staying out of the federal zone. That's an important part of that. So you don't have to go it alone, and we know how to navigate these waters, and it makes it enjoyable. And what I'm excited about is being able to help the young people launch their businesses. One of the things I would recommend, it's a good education, and that's watch a lot of Shark Tank, because you see people come in, they invent something, or they come up with a service or some unique idea. And what's good about Shark Tank is not necessarily all the things that happen with the sharks and all that, but you can see the level of commitment and inquiry that they ask these people that are looking for, of course, money to do their venture. But they ask them about how much they're making, what's their gain, what is it, how much are they, how smart they are about what they're doing, how they're going to handle expansion, all that. Those are all things that you should think about, at least consider as you're, setting out on your journey. One of the things that we want to help, besides young people or you, moving from, working for someone into what we call being unemployable. And that is, there are people who are senior citizen age in which they're making Social Security. And so they want to come out of the federal zone. And so they're making a certain amount of money with Social Security. Our job to help them is to replace that money with their own private labor or whatever they're doing. And again, you'll never hear me say that I think you should go out and get a job. Good Lord. I would never suggest somebody go out and get a job. I'd say go out and launch your service. And listen, there are people with money want good service. And if you have a good work ethic, there's no reason that you can't make great money, because the work ethic out there is dreadful. So you should be setting yourself above others. And yes, in these area of business, if you need insurance and you have to do certain things, we'll talk about, how to handle licensing and other things that are happening in the business realm. If you're not going to be doing a corporation, then you got to at least know how to navigate that stuff, and we'll deal with all of that when we're helping our clients move from that public to the private. So I wanted to open up if you have any questions. If you're asking questions on YouTube, I don't always get to that. I would recommend that if you have a question and you'd like to talk with me, then go to statecitizen@destinationfreedom.org. Email me and say, hey, you'd like to talk with me, and we'll get on the phone, and I'll be glad to chit chat with you about that. And then, of course, here on the go-to meeting here, if you have questions, guys, then of course just open your mic and then I'll repeat the question to these guys on YouTube. But anyway, that's going to come up. So look for that if you're interested in that class, and I guess I'll call it a workshop, because we probably will have some paperwork available that will be very useful. So we'll do some things, include some things that'll be awesome. But it'll be a very supportive, and there is going to be some interaction. And my goal is that you'll be able to move. Once you've taken this class, you'll be able to set a timeline and actually begin working your own business. That'll be kind of cool. So before we close out, because we're coming around to the top of the hour, we got about 15 minutes or so. I did want to talk about the prayer website we're launching. So the prayer website is prayer24735.net, I believe it is. And I think I'm going to go ahead and grab a different domain. I got an idea of that, and I'm actually going to grab a different domain, so that'll be kind of cool. But anyway, it's going to be a website that's praying for freedom-related matters, starting in the United States. We're praying worldwide, but the ideas, our focus is on America. And so what we're looking to do is it's going to be interactive with the Almighty. Okay, I've had an idea of how we are going to be able to have prayer 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, or a year. So that's our goal, is to be able to have multiple people praying all the time. And so when we hit that first goal of our schedule filled, even if it's daily, we set up that first 24 hours and have people praying straight through. That'll be exciting. And that might be how we launch it up, is to begin it with a 24 hours of prayer, and we'll schedule people to pray for that, just to get the website going. So we'll have a launch date and all that. Now we need two things if you'd like to be a part of that. One is we need donations. Those are real donations. They will literally go. I will not take any donations for myself, but the donations will actually go to manage the website. It'll go to the cost of setting up the website. It's really going to be spectacular. It's going to be very practical. And of course, I will have an intercessory director that's going to be communicating with the people that are praying. And it's my intention that we're going to be doing a way in which we're going to, our participants will pray, and then they'll sit quiet, and then they'll listen for something that God has for them. And we want that information, because we're going to pass that through, and it's going to it's going to change what we pray for based upon what God wants us to pray for. And so that's going to be very interactive. And of course, I want to give a lot of support with that. Um, It'll be biblically based. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, so it'll have that kind of flavor. It's non-denominational. None of that's going to be in there. If you pray, I don't really care what denomination you find yourself in, or even if you believe in a creator, then and you are support prayer, then we'll be glad to give you. Now you may already know how to pray, but we're going to give a lot of support so you can know there's all kinds of different ways to pray, and we want you to know how to do that to the end that you can have peace, or that you can hear from the Almighty in some capacity. It's not just a one-way street where you're doing all the talking and nothing's coming back. We're looking for results, and besides the prayers being answered. So 2 ways you can participate. You can, if you're interested in praying, I would like to know, and you can reach out right now. We will have a website, but we'll have an email address associated with the prayer website, and that will be you'll be able to. There'll be a way to log into the website and be able to pick your time in the schedule, what works best for you to pray. We're going to tell you exactly what we're looking for in the prayer, and how to go about that. It's going to be invigorating. The other aspect, if you don't pray or you'd like to help out, of course, we're going to need donations for that. And we'll have a link for donations, and we'll be able to have that take care of itself. And again, it's not a money maker for me. I just want to, God asked me to set this up and do this, and this is long in coming. And so I have to, it's something that I have to get done, and we're doing. So now we got those wheels turning, and so if you'd like to help us sponsor that, and that would be awesome. We may have some kind of sponsor links to where we won't have any advertisement on there, but we may have a little link where you can click on and go to our supporting companies and people. That'd be a good way to acknowledge and thank them for that. And so we can have people subscribe to being a part of that. But I promise you, this has never been, this kind of website that I have has never happened before. And I'm looking for that to show up in a real powerful way. So anyway, that's hopefully going to come within the next month here. Let me know if you want to be a part of that. You can email me at statecitizen@destinationfreedom.org and just say that you'd like to be involved with the prayer website, and we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much for being on tonight's call. I'm looking to do next Wednesday, not Thursday night, and so, but I wasn't feeling well yesterday, and I did want to come on and deal with this subject matter tonight. So thank you for being here and being a part of Destination Freedom. I'm Christopher Gronsky. I am so glad. Oh, do that like and subscribe thing. Not you in the GoToMeeting chat, but those of you on YouTube. That will be wonderful. So I'm thankful for you, and God bless you all. We will talk to you soon. Okay? Take care.